Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you all for joining us. Today we are going to be talking about categories versus members and visitors in the new version 20 of Church Windows, the revamped people file. So I'm going to give it just another minute or two for any other folks who are just coming into the webinar now. Our clock here on the computer looks like it's a minute or two ahead of my cell phone clock, so I'm not going to get completely started just yet. Just a couple of things while we're waiting for any other folks to join the room. You've got a questions panel on the webinar toolbar. And we've got Rachel with us today answering questions. So if you have any questions while we're going through this, type them into that questions panel. Let's keep those questions to the topic at hand. And if you have specific questions about your data, go ahead and give us a call when the webinar is finished or at your leisure, and we'd be happy to help walk you through any specific questions or concerns. So on the description of this webinar, it did say that this is in Membership 102, pages 12 to 13. That is a typo. It is actually Membership 101, 12 to 13. So if you are following along in our workbooks, whether the digital version or the physical copy, that's going to be Membership 101, pages 12 through 13. And again, we're going to be talking about how to set up and utilize the categories, including color coding, which is a pretty cool feature that I like a lot. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, and we will dive right in. So here we see the main screen of membership or of Church Windows version 20, and we're going to click on membership. And once we get into membership, we're going to go to people. Now you can click it down here, the big yellow button that I clicked, or you can click it up here in the top left. Both are going to take you to the same place. I like to use the quick access buttons down in the center, but you can also always use the top toolbar up here. And I'm going to make all of this full screen so we can see everything nice and big. Okay, so up here on the first toolbar of people where we have our backward and forward buttons, we have filter by categories. That allows us to choose which categories we're seeing. And then down here, just below the add and delete family buttons, we have this family's category where it displays whether this family is a member or a visitor. In this case, we're looking at a visitor. So members and visitors are what the software comes with, just like in the former versions of the software where you just had members and visitors. But now we have the great benefit of being able to view or to add additional categories. So in order to do that, we're going to be using this plus minus pencil button. And you'll see these buttons are all over the place in membership and in some of the other modules as well. These are always going to be edit buttons. So if I click on that button, it's going to bring up this new window where I am able to view my list of categories, my members and my visitors currently, and then I'm able to add a code and description for any additional categories. For example, perhaps you want to add an O category for out of town people. All you would do is you type your code and you type your description and then you click add. Now we can also add a code to members if we wanted. So we could go ahead and put an M there if we wanted to. Another way to differentiate between the different categories is using this color column. And it does say optional, it's not required. But if I click this little rectangle, I can choose colors for each of my categories. So I'm going to make my members purple because that's my favorite. And then we'll make our out-of-towners let's say green, and let's make our visitors orange. Now I like to use pale colors because they're just nicer on my eyes. You can use whatever colors you like. So once we set those colors and add any categories we want to add, we can click Close. And now you'll see behind this family's category, we've got a stripe of that color we selected. Additionally, down at the very bottom of the screen here, we have a box that says which categories are showing currently. And you have your little color coding there as well. So now if I just toggle through using the next button, you can see as it jumps to a member family, it changes to that purple background, and so on and so forth. And if I were to, well, this person's deceased, but if I were to put them in my out of town category, you can see it changes this family's category. And we go through just like that. Now, once we've edited and viewed our categories, we can come up here to this filter by categories. And maybe I don't want to see my out-of-town members or my visitors right now. So I'm going to uncheck those and leave only members checked. And then I'm going to click this green check mark, show only those selected, to confirm that that's what I want to see. Now, down at the bottom here where we have our showing, it just says members instead of saying all three. And now when I toggle through, everybody's got that purple stripe and members as their category. We can also edit the existing categories if we wanted to. You know, if you didn't want to use members or visitors at all, you could change those to something completely different. Another one that can be useful if you had to do a lot of database cleanup at a certain point, you could add a category for your duplicate people. That might be another interesting way to sort through the people in your database. Let me see. The codes are only able to be single letter or number or symbol codes, but the description, you can write out a full description. I believe it'll use symbols. Yes, it will use symbols. And those codes are optional as well. The codes, they appear on certain reports if you ask to see those codes, but you don't necessarily have to have a code. So I could backspace all those codes if I wanted to. Susan is asking how we would identify duplicates. What you would do is just, you know, just like I created this out of town category and assigned it to a person, you would create a category with a description of duplicate records, and you would assign anybody to that record who is a duplicate. So if I accidentally added 2 copies of the same family, I could keep 1 copy in members and put the other copy into visitors. All right, so that is a pretty quick and easy topic. If anybody has any additional questions, type them into the questions panel. And if that's all the questions, you can go ahead and sign out. Thank you for joining us. Teresa, codes are assigned to families in this drop-down that says this family's category right here at the top left. All right, if there are no additional questions, I'm going to go ahead and close the room. We've finished the topic in just 10 minutes, so there is no reason to stick around unless anybody has any additional questions.